I've got two guests. They're in-house without being in-house. So we've got Vaughn from Backcountry Preps. We've got Kaz from Fourth Dimension. Let's make some assumptions. The what-if game. Let's assume that Trump is part of the Illuminati, right? That Trump is playing for the evil team. What is his next move to sucker the American people on both sides? Where does he go from here? If he is the evil bastard we're afraid he could be, and we're being duped.
Wow, that's a toughie, man. I think you'd have to just look at the end game. What's the ultimate goal? In my opinion, the ultimate goal, they've already, spelled it out in Agenda 21. And if he's part of this, if he's one of the key game players in this chess match, and he's duping us, like you said, it's dangerous because everything he's doing seems to be working on our end. On the side of the right, we're saying, oh, man, look at all the stuff he's doing. It's great. How much more winning, and I'll put that in quotation marks, how much more winning can we do before we throw all sensibility out the window? Like I talked about the whole cult mentality or brainwash mentality in the past in this interview, that how far can he go to get us convinced that he's the real deal? And are we going to subject ourselves to anything he says in the future? I mean, I think I made a video about this a couple months back. What if it gets so bad and to the point where Trump says, hey, you know what? This is a coup that's happening. They're trying to overtake a duly elected president, and the people that are supposed to be on my side are against me, and all I have is you, the people that voted for me. Get your guns and fight for me. Let's go. Let's do this. And the question was that the plan from the very beginning? Would it take something like that to actually take Joe Sixpack like me to get my rifle and go out and fight? It's very possible. It's extremely possible. And I put Trump in the same folder as Q. It's the same thing. Who do we believe? That's the ultimate question. And do we put all our eggs in one basket? And I think as preppers, that's one of the most important things we can do is keep our minds open, but be cautious.
Kaz, what would an evil Trump be doing if he's going to go to the next step? And I think the destruction of the Constitution and our way of life and introducing some new world order scheme. What would he do to put us there?
Exactly what he's doing.
You jumped the gun again, damn it.
I'm sorry. The reality of it is if I was Trump, and I'd play this game a lot. I mean, you guys know, if you watch my channel, I war game a lot of stuff. And, that was part of my upbringing, and that was part of my military experiences, war gaming scenarios and how this shapes out. And if I was Trump, I would be doing exactly what's going to happen. And the short answer, the shortest answer to that is it's the economy, stupid. The reality of it is I'm setting myself up to be, it's not my fault. Who am I blaming? And he's already started doing it in the tweets and the mainstream media. It's the Fed, right? He's blaming the Fed already. The Fed is, jacking interest rates, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Meanwhile, you've got the useful idiots, a.k.a. the compartmentalized morons that are out there doing their thing, a.k.a. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, et cetera, et cetera. And then on the other side, Gavin McInnes, et cetera, et cetera. The Sean Hannity's propaganda, mainstream media manipulating the masses, doing what they're doing. Meanwhile, George Soros, the Rothschilds or whatever, and saying, you guys are falling right into our plans. We're going to eliminate, 2/3 of the population of the United States in a matter of, what are we at now? This is 2018. By 2025, you do the math, because 1 + 1 = potato. Honestly, I mean that's if I was the bad guy, I'd be doing exactly what Trump's doing. Watch the moves. He's not gotten rid of the NFA, the 1934 National Firearms Act of legalizing, class 3 quote unquote weapons. He's not gotten rid of, in fact, he's doubled down on the class, bans of bump stocks and various trigger assemblies that cause, rapid fire, aka a means for the citizenry to defend itself. All of these things. He's raising the pay of the military to get him on his side. Let's be honest. If somebody's going to raise my pay, yeah, of course I'm going to be a little more loyal, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on and on and on. And I think if people stop looking at the mainstream media, stop looking at the left-right paradigm, they stop looking at these things and they remove themselves and they say, okay, I can see the forest now because there's a fucking lot of trees. That's where we're at. And if I was Trump, I'd be doing exactly what he's doing. Of course, people play, oh, he's doing the ropey-dope and he's playing 4D chess. Well, the problem is who's he playing 4D chess for? It damn sure ain't for us. It ain't damn sure ain't for we the people. Because if it was, do you think the Firearms Act of 1934 would still be standing? Hell no. Is it the retards that are in Congress, the Congress critters? They're on the payroll of the same payroll that Pelosi and the rest of the socialists, Democrats, communists are on. People are caught up in this, oh, I'm conservative, oh, I'm socialist. No. It's all about I'm the globalist, I'm the, peon. Again, I take it back to Monty Python, the truest line that ever came out of any movie ever in history of man is, how do you know they're royalty? Well, they don't have shit on them. That's the reality. Everybody else who's in politics and whatever, they're all on one side or the other and they don't have shit on them. And meanwhile, we're the ones down here dealing with the ramifications of their bullshit.
Right.
As far as trusting Trump and if I was going to do, again, he's doing exactly what I would have predicted someone that's working for the powers that be to do. I guess my problem is I look at Obama and Shitstain 44 as one side of the coin, and then you have Trump as the other side of the coin, and it's nothing more than to divide and conquer. It's to polarize people more towards the right, and polarize people more towards the left. You have the Obama voters who are, oh, Obama was a great president, right? And they are diehard in that. They will slit their wrists to prove their loyalty to Obama. But then you have the other side of the Trump supporters, and I see this on my Facebook every morning when I get up and take my dailies, because I love to read the comments and the threads, and the people who will defend him to the death and stuff that is just ridiculous. And you go, you're more polarized from. I just go back to, and I've said this numerous times, is we are at 1861, and who what does John say? Who benefits, right?
Cui bono.
Yep, cui bono. Who benefits? Well, it damn sure ain't the people. And even at that point, it ain't the politicians. It's the Rothschilds. It's the Soroses. It's the global powers that be. It's the people who own the entire MSM. What is it? There's 6 people who own the entire mainstream media at this point right now. Every network, 6 people control all of that,
including Fox.
They all, guess what? And they all, exactly, even Fox, and they all attend what? The same meetings, which is what? The Bilderbergers. You got to be a damn lab rat to not understand this stuff. And maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm the one who's, I'm the Mel Gibson in the conspiracy theory thing. But I guess that's just me.
You got to copy a Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah.
That was kind of a loaded question I threw out there, because this is my opinion, is that if Trump is with the Illuminati on the evil side, doing exactly what he's doing is going to lead to that destruction, right? A massive partisan war, even a civil war, a coup attempt, because he is pushing the left so hard, right? And he should. But if I turned around and said, well, if Trump is good, what's his next move if he's good? It's the same fucking move. It's pushing the left. It's asking for a fight. So we're faced as thinking individuals, as preppers, as Americans, as patriots. We want him to defeat these fucking idiots, these communists, right? These incredible people that are willing to commit genocide or just humanicide, destroy us all. And it's the same action he needs to take to either accomplish good or evil. And it's scary as fuck, because we don't know what's going to happen. We could get through a partisan war, right, and discover that, yeah, we are we are just a human resource, and our country's been destroyed, the Constitution's been suspended, and we're totally fucked. But the actions he's taken, right, it's the same action, whether he's good or bad. And so I'm stuck rooting for the guy, saying, go get him, arrest him, but it could lead to the destruction of, right, or the suspension of the Constitution. It's very scary. I see it both ways. You know, he's doing the right thing and he's doing everything to make it the wrong way. Mm-hmm. What's your opinion, Vaughn?
That's a lot of good points. And I think at the end of the day, the only thing we could do is what we're doing now. We're preparing ourselves. We're telling other people to prepare. And whether Trump is the savior of the country or will be a major player in the fall of the country is to be seen. I mean, I guess this is where you can start talking about faith. You know, where is your hope? Where is your faith? You know, and you might want to think about things that are further from planetary, you know, things that are maybe things that we don't understand so well. I mean, is this a big, a big cosmic thing that we're all living through? A lot of people think we're in some computer program, the Matrix, because of the way things happen. You know, it's interesting to think like that. But at the end of the day, we got to do what we feel is right. I think it's taking care of our families, you know, doing our best to be good people and preparing, you know, doing what we think will help us to sustain ourselves. Is Trump a traitor? I don't know yet. None of us do. Only he knows. Only those really deep into the deep state, dark state, whatever.
Trust the plan.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. This could have been a plan outlined decades ago, and we don't know it.
Right.
That's the problem. We are so ill informed, and you guys talked about that. You know, the media being controlled by 6 people. I get that. They control all the information we get. The only thing that is somewhat real or quasi-true is what we're doing here on YouTube. You know, different media outlets where the people have a voice. And it's scary to think about it. Everything that we see, hear, touch, smell, taste, everything is controlled. Everything, you know, it's all part of a master plan, possibly. And if not, and I hope not, I hope, you know, we get to choose our own destinies. I hope that's true. But at the end of the day, I mean, the amount of power they have, the amount of control they have, they could just be steering us exactly the direction they want us to be steered in.
Right. It could be fully orchestrated, or it could be semi-organic. I don't know which.
Yeah, or both.
Right. That's now let's assume we're going to go hopeful, okay, Kaz?
Am I really that doom and gloom?
Might as well, because I see that Trump is. If I was rooting for the evil bastards, Trump is doing the right thing. If Trump is a good guy, he's doing the right thing. Let's just assume that he really is good, right? That he doesn't like these cocksuckers. That they're rotten bastards, and he wants to get rid of them. The world is never going to be a perfect place, no matter who's in charge. There's going to be some corruption, death, cheating, thieving, all that shit. But let's just assume he is on the good side. Is he doing everything he needs to do to be an assassination threat? Right? Like, if he's a good guy, are they going to shoot him? Are they going to take him the fuck out the way Kennedy was taken out? Not exactly that way. I'm sure he's going to stay far away from Dealey Plaza, but sorry about that, man. Had to throw that one out there. But I've been saying from the moment, actually before he got elected, he's a serious assassination risk if he's a good guy. And there have been, I guess, a lot of threats against him. But it's going to have to be the powers that be. Kennedy was taken out by the Secret Service, the CIA, the mafia, as in the Italian mafia, the mob, and for numerous reasons from everyone in the military-industrial complex, which the president before JFK, that would be our good buddy Mr. Eisenhower, Ike, his speech on the way out of the White House is incredible to listen to, where he warns against secret groups and the military-industrial complex. And then Kennedy tried standing up against him and got taken out. Is Trump actually doing that? Or is he just trying to take out the world communists, the globalists, and he's not really threatening the military-industrial complex. Crickets. If he's good, is he going to get whacked?
You going to take it?
I guess. Well, that's one of them questions. I've been a puppet for, and I say a puppet, I've been a mouthpiece for that. Trump is the mouthpiece for the military-industrial complex, i.e. Q, in the aspect that what we're witnessing with Q, excuse me, and what we're witnessing with Trump is the culmination of the takeover of a military coup, aka the military-industrial complex. I mean, I know if I was a business honcho that has all my government or all my contracts tied to government defense, aka weapons and Humvees and MRAPs and hypersonic missiles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I'm going to want to control the president so that he gives me all those contracts, et cetera, et cetera. Wow, this is such a. I mean, this is a 2-hour video on its own. I mean, in reality, John, you some amazing questions here. I guess to short summarize this and to put it into perspective, we hope that Trump is for the people, right? Bottom line, though, I mean, is he doing everything? I mean, playbook, he's raising the pay for the military. Not that I'm against that, because, hey, listen, I was a private once. I understand how it is to be broke, right? And strippers are expensive. So, when you're a private and you hear a pay raise, hell yeah, I'm going to follow that guy into battle. But, the reality of it is you're buying, and we're not a draft army anymore. We're a volunteer army. We're a mercenary force, as much as I hate to admit it. We are. Why did I join? $40,000 signing bonus. That's why I joined, period. End of list. Right? Cool. I'll shoot artillery at somebody for 40 grand. I don't give a shit who's on the other end of it. But, the reality of it is, and you take that to the same basic infantry private, E3, E4, E5, even NCO, move on up the list. Sure, signing bonuses. I'm going to re-up for X number of dollars. Military-industrial complex. You're a mercenary force. End of story. And, and the polarization that's going on in the media with the Antifas are the bad guys, et cetera, et cetera. And I touched on this in a previous video where I said that, hey, what happened? I'm that E3, E4. Fuck those guys. They're anti-constitution. They're socialists, whatever. They're beating up people. Are you going to smoke them? Oh, I'm a red-blooded American patriot. I'm defending my oath for the Constitution. Absolutely, I'm going to smoke those people. Do I give 2 squirts of piss about their constitutional rights? No, hell no. They're a violent menace. And I guess maybe, again, this is just my skepticism and me being the glass half empty guy. But yeah, I mean, I see the military-industrial complex as probably what Trump is working for. A military coup of the U.S. government. End of story. Vaughn?
That is a great question. I think this is the one subject that keeps me from fully jumping on the Trump train, fully, is because he's still alive. And if he was for us, for the people, he would have been whacked just like Kennedy. And I think it would have happened a long time ago. I don't think they would have waited. And I'm actually sitting here. I am surprised. I'm really surprised that he is still upright and breathing, just because of who he seems to be against. So what this tells me, since this man is still alive, walking around with his hot wife, is that it may be possible. I got to throw that in there.
Grabbing him by the pussy. Thanks, Vaughn.
Yeah, it may be because he's both sides, and I say maybe, in all capitals. Maybe because he's still alive, is he's playing both sides. I don't know. I sincerely hope not. But come on, let's face the facts. Look what happened to Kennedy when he started, poking the bear. He got his brains blowed out all over his old lady in his car. I mean, that's how they work. That's their MO. That's what they do. To dissenters, they will whack you. I mean, look at Clinton. We've talked about this already. How many people are the Clintons involved in murdering? I mean, these people don't care. Life is not sacred to them. And if you go against them, is that the reason why Hillary's still not in prison? Quite possibly. He may be playing both sides. That's why I'm not on board 100%. I mean, I like the stuff he does, but he's still alive. Again, it's because he hasn't gone far enough against his supposed handlers. So I guess time will tell. I mean, I hope not. Give the guy the benefit of the doubt, but I don't know. I mean, he's still alive. That must mean he's not really hurting him as much as we think he's hurting him.
My take on this, my best guess about what's going on, why Trump is alive, why he is at risk, though, is not because he's gone up against the military-industrial complex. I think that Kaz's view on this is he supports them, right? He's increased military spending, which means infusing the military subcontractors and contractors with money. I think Trump is honest. If I was to bet, I bet he's being honest about being a nationalist, about being pro-America, pro-United States. He wants America to be strong. I believe that. In order to do that, we have to have a good economy. We have to have law and order. And we have to have a strong military. We have to have sound money. So I think that what he's doing, there's a good chance that he's being honest about all that. And that his enemies, though, are the international globalists, the anti-American, anti-constitutionalists. I think we can have a strong military-industrial complex, or at least I think Trump believes this, that you can have that as long as they believe in the United States. And so his enemy is not the CIA. His enemy is not McDonnell Douglas. It's not Raytheon. It's not Bechtel corporations. His enemy are the socialists and the bankers international who want to take over our country, destroy it, and make it into something it's not. And I think the military-industrial complex does not want to see that happen, right? They're making too much money. If you want to break it down to benefiting and following the dollar, Kaz is right. These people, the military-industrial complex, would be supporting Trump in getting the international scumbags out of here because they do want to destroy our military. They do want to subjugate us. They do want to destroy our economy and our ability to create wealth. So that's kind of where I think that if Trump is good, that's what's going on. And the assassination threat is very real, but it's not going to come from the inside this time. It's going to come from the outside, and not the country of Russia or the country of China, but rather clandestine factions within those countries and clandestine factions within literally the banking industry. Banks have always fomented war, destruction, and parasitic behavior where they either take advantage of the host and enrich themselves, or they try and kill the host when they're done feeding off of it. That's my take on it anyways, just my little one guy's opinion here. What do you think there's any veracity to that concept?
Absolutely. I definitely think so. I mean, I've spent a lot of time reading and watching interviews with young Trump, back in the early 80s, the mid 80s. I also spent the time and read one of his books, which I'm very glad I did. I learned a lot about the man, I think, and the way he thinks. And in my opinion, from what I've seen, and this is even when he claimed to be a Democrat at the time, I believe Trump honestly loves America. I really believe that. Now, does that mean he's not a puppet? Absolutely not. He, again, we go back to the brainwash part. Is he so far deep down the rabbit hole, or so deeply convinced that there's one way and one way only to save this country that he's going to play the president just to make his viewpoint of his opinions on things into reality during his presidential time here in this country? So it's hard to say, and I try to give people the benefit of the doubt from what I've seen in the past before he was elected, is that he had very strong patriotic leanings. And, even in old interviews, he was saying how much he loved this country and how he would change it if he were president. And this is well before even contemplating becoming president. So, it's, of course, you can't say for certain, because at the end of the day, we're just the peons making YouTube channels and expressing our opinions. But we can hope. We can hope. And from what I've seen so far, if I had to bet on it, I would bet Trump's a patriot. I really would, just from the things I've read, the interviews I've seen, and the way he handles himself. I mean, I haven't seen him do, and this, I could be way off the mark on this, but literally, I haven't seen him do anything that I disapprove of. There are some things I wish he would do, but I haven't seen a whole lot of actions he's taken that affects me negatively. As a matter of fact, I've seen the opposite, especially being a business owner here in California. It's, I've seen a lot of good stuff, and until I start seeing a lot of bad stuff, I'm going to continue to support him, but again, be cautious, because at the end of the day, he's still a politician now.
Right. I see him. I see him pushing for a nationalist state. He wants a strong America. That's my best bet. That's also my hope. Are we hoping or asking or thinking and wishing for too much, or is it possible in this and getting rid of the socialists? I think it's possible, but there's a lot of risk involved, and that's why I'm a prepper. But I switched my thinking when Trump got elected from we're going to have a total loss of our Constitution, we're going to have full on serious shit hitting the fan, to now I see a potential for shit hits the fan light. Partisan wars. We're going to have a major recession, if not a depression. We're going to have some systemic changes that occur. I see these happening, but I see some hope for a better outcome than I did otherwise. So I'm hoping for that for everyone's sake, but who knows? All we can do is get ready, prepare the best we can.
Yeah,
are you alive there, Kaz?
There you
Can
are.
you hear me now?
There you are.
Okay. I got to get ready to go. I got to cut this short. I wish I could stay longer. So,
Kaz, thank you, man.
Hey, I appreciate the invite, and John and I, and Vaughn, we could have this conversation for hours and hours and hours on end. So I appreciate the invite, and I appreciate the interview, and I appreciate everything. You guys are awesome. Big fan, John. So yeah, I appreciate this, guys, and you guys are amazing. And I'm out, and I hope this was a productive thing for all of us.
We got another big question here, man. So me and you will hit it.
Bring it.
Shit, it's the fan. Is this election, the run-up, the election itself, and then afterwards, is there a shit it's the fan potential? Is there a factor in here? So Hillary, she's come back out. I think she's terrified, absolutely terrified at what's going on. The loss of power, the potential arrests, all of these, and I just say allegedly or reputedly outstanding sealed indictments. I don't really know. Fuck, I haven't seen a stack of indictments on TV. They just tell us, oh, there's 30,000, now there's 40, now there's 50, right? But is that terrifying her? So she's come out and said, right, incivility, we're going to be uncivil until we take back power. She's encouraging violence. As far as I'm concerned, she's encouraging domestic terrorism. Right, and this terrorism has been threatened over the outcome of this election. If they don't get their way, they're going to terrorize us. If they do get their way, they're going to terrorize us. Going back to when I said that the Democrats are saying they're going to bring Republicans to the guillotine. That means cutting their fucking heads off, right? And I think she's promoting a partisan war. And I think she wants Trump removed illegally, whatever it takes, right? War in the streets. I've actually heard them say there's going to be blood in the streets, right? There needs to be blood in the streets. This last week, they've really upped this. So for real, Vaughn, in your opinion, Could we see shit hitting the fan over this election?
When you say elections, you mean the midterms or the 2020
Yes.
presidential elections?
This midterm coming right up.
Yeah, I believe I just made a video about this. I absolutely think there's going to be some big shit happening either just before or just after. And one of the points I made on my video is that no matter how it goes, if they win the House or Senate or not, they still win because of their ability to be lawless and not be held accountable. So, for example, if they win, now they're going to feel justified in trying to redo or undo everything Trump has done, which hurts America, as we know. It hurts the the way this country ought to be ran. I mean, across the board, it really destroys America. So, in that sense, in their minds, they win. Now, if they lose, if they don't get the House or the Senate, they're still going to win because we know that law does not apply to a lot of these people. We saw this in Portland. You know, they can go out, pull people out of cars, beat the hell out of people with no consequence. So they win both ways. But here's the problem. You know, whichever way it goes, if they're going to push their terroristic tactics on Americans or they get the House or Senate, it hurts us as Americans. So it's a win-win for them. It's kind of a lose-lose for us. Just because of the sheer fact that we're law-abiding citizens, we don't want to hurt people. We want to try to get things done the right way. And that's the problem. They say the nice guy finishes last. Well, this might be a very good example of that. That's why I feel, in my opinion, a reset has to happen.
Okay. Teddy Roosevelt, talk softly but carry a big stick. I think patriotic Americans need to think that way going into this because you're right. For them, they're seeing it one way or another. They're going to have their violence. You know, it's going to be violence either lawlessly or they're going to do violence using the law, right? Because they won. Now they're in charge.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Now, let me ask you this. Leading up to the election day, up to that point, you see the potential for activism, violent activism on the part of the street thugs. You see that's going to happen? Do you think it's going to happen just anywhere or only in certain contested districts?
No, I think the left will come out in masses in places where there's enough of them to be able to protect each other, because we all know they don't fight one-on-one. They fight 20-on-1 or 30 guys against one woman. I think it's inevitable they will come out for the sheer reason that at first, and there's a lot of talk about this, especially on left-wing media, that's a blue wave. The blue waves are coming, and we're going to take this back, and we're going to make everything right and cure all the ails that Trump has, inflicted on us. And I think now they're kind of seeing that this isn't going to happen. That most likely that the blue wave was a fallacy. Now, it's not only that, the red wave is going to be a tsunami. And I think they are so butthurt over this fact that the violent part of them will come out even more than they are now. And that's a scary thought.
I'm agreeing with you there 100% that their internal polling is now leaking out and showing that there's not going to be a blue wave. So they're going to have to up their rhetoric, up their activism, up their actions. So I'm seeing, and they know what districts are leaning and that they could win. So let's just say can you think of any really contested district that's super important?
Ooh, fuck, there's quite a few of them. I know.
Give me a city.
Phoenix.
Okay, Phoenix. Phoenix is right on the line, right? It's 48-48, and there's a few thousand swing votes in there. I see a district like that where they'll call for activists, bust them in to try and intimidate Republican voters, to use violence to scare them away. It's bullying, it's threatening, it's terrorism, in my opinion, and that they're going to go to districts like that to try and win those blue seats. Do you see the potential for that happening?
Absolutely. We got to remember, these guys are calculated, like evil masterminds. And it's not them as individuals. It's those who are paying them, the Soroses, the people behind the scenes. They're evil geniuses is what they are. And they have the money to back it. So it's a scary thought. They are using the typical liberal Democrat, purple hair, college student as their cannon fodder. Really, they don't give a shit about these people. They will throw them out to the wolves as long as they get their way.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. Just like they used Blasey Ford, Professor Ford. Now she's been discarded and used, and who cares about her? They'll do it with all of their blue-haired, pink-haired, red-haired, orange-haired idiots. I agree with you. The day after the election, we're going to know whether or not the Republicans still hold the House of Representatives. If the Democrats take over, do you expect there to continue to be violence on the streets in these contested areas? Or do you suspect that they'll just go back to their hovels and go, okay, we did our job. We elected these people. We now own control of the House of Representatives. So we're going to get our way. We're going to calm down. Or do you think it'll be like a Super Bowl victory and the people who won will go out and riot and loot anyways?
Well, that's a good question. I never really thought about it. If they do win, I think it would be like a real army, invading army. If they win the war, they go home, go back to their families. However, I think what it's going to do is bolster their agenda. Whatever it may be, even if it's opposite of what their agenda is now, they will feel, hey, since we were able to implement violence and get our way, why change? If there's ever a question, we're just going to go beat you up, throw windows through your business or throw rocks through your business windows. Violence works in their mind. If they regain the House or Senate or both, it's going to just justify their ends to a mean or means to an end.
Right.
They're going to think, oh, it worked this time. No matter what we want now, if they don't want to listen, we'll just beat the crap out of them and get our way.
You think they'll retaliate against Republicans because they've won the House back? Now it's time to punish, and they're going to punish in Washington, D.C. by impeaching Trump, impeaching justices they don't like on the Supreme Court. I think that it's possible they would do that, and then also on the street punish individuals that they know, business owners, private citizens, Republicans in their district that are still elected, but they just don't have any power. I'm thinking that there's a possibility after the election that there will continue to be bullying and harassment and resentment that's acted on in a violent manner.
Yeah, I think you're right on the first part of that for sure. I think they'll use their newfound power if they do regain seats. They'll use that to try to reverse all the stuff they don't agree with. Here's the thing that I think might happen, and I'll throw this out there as a way out there in left field possibility. What if they regain power and start reversing the things that Trump has been doing? Do you? And I hate to ask you a question, but it's in my mind, do you think the Republicans will do exactly what the Democrats are doing? Will we be so pissed off and so shited that we're like, oh, man, we don't want to go back. We gained so much momentum, so much progress has been made, and now you're going to destroy it. Are we going to retaliate?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. I think we'll all be pissed is what it is, even more so.
I do think that if the violent factions within the Democrat Party continue to push, there will be pushback. Now, winning back the House doesn't turn Trump around. The best they can hope for by winning the House is to stop Trump from going any further. The Supreme Court is seated. The only way to unseat them is for someone to either die, resign, or be impeached. And you don't have to be just impeached, you have to be convicted. And so the system we have that was set up by the founding fathers is brilliant in that you have to have the House impeach and then the Senate try. Right? The House is like the indicting or the prosecutor. They decide there's enough information to send for the trial. So they have to take both the House and the Senate in order to impeach and convict Trump, or impeach and remove or convict and then remove a sitting justice. That's my understanding of how the system works. Clinton was impeached, but he finished out his presidency. Right? He just got a really big black eye. So if Trump, if the Democrats take over the House, Trump is just going to have a hard time doing anything positive. But I don't think the Democrats, they don't own the government and the country then at that point. They just get to stonewall the president and make a big deal. I think I see a big long shot for them to win. They would have to continue to vote early, vote often, and vote, have their dead people vote. There's going to need to be a lot on their part of election fraud. And I'm hoping behind the scenes, Trump and his administration has found ways to further safeguard our system. Because that election 2 years ago, Vaughn, it was really, really close. Not in reality, right? The perception is that it's close. In reality, the NSA has estimated that Trump won by close to 10 million votes. But on the street, because of all the fraud, it was very close. It was a couple million votes that Trump won the popular election by. And, of course, they still reported as Hillary won the popular election. But it was actually a landslide. So they need all the fraud they can get, all the illegal voting. And I just don't see it happening. But it worries me. It concerns me greatly.
Yeah, you're the violence. Right. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What's that? The violence
you're 100% right on the logistics of what would happen if they do overtake the House or Senate. They will definitely stonewall and drag their feet on everything. They will oppose everything. Look at the Kavanaugh hearings, just for an example. I mean, come on, what a joke that was. And they thought they were 100% right. As far as the voter fraud issue, I think Trump, if he is who we hope he is, I think he's got that on lockdown. He's probably got so many eyeballs on all these elections and votes and the counting of the votes. It would be ignorant of him not to do that. And I don't think he's an ignorant man. I think he's very smart. I think he's already got this planned out. So we'll see, man. I hope. I sincerely hope we continue this momentum. If the Democrats get in, man, it's just going to make everything so much more difficult.
Right. The same districts that we know are contentious, they're tightly run. That's where the focus will be on. Right. That's where the focus of the Trump administration and the bureaucratic process to make sure it's fair. It should be on those tight districts. And that's what I'm hoping for, is that, they're putting eyes where they're most needed. And it's going to be one hell of a shit show no matter what, Vaughn.
It's going to be crazy. I anticipate something huge happening just before, just after. Call it a false flag. Call it just all the left rallying together for one final push before the elections. I honestly feel something big's really going to happen, and it's a little scary. But you know what? At the end of the day, and I look at this sometimes in a different way. Man, we're living in historic times. Our kids and our grandkids are going to be talking about this, and we're living it. Right. And we're able to go and vote. We're able to have a voice. This is historic and crazy important stuff. That, man, I'm glad I'm a part of it. On the other hand, I mean, it's some scary stuff, but it is what it is. So this is definitely not boring times to live in.
Yeah, it's at least it's an exciting movie.
Yeah, right.
Right, but it is, as much as it's entertaining, it's also frightening to me. But yeah, definitely historic. You are absolutely correct. I'm glad that my sons are old enough to see what's going on. They have their own political perspectives that have been, they've been influenced by me, but they've developed independently too. And they're going to grow up and they'll be talking to their sons and daughters and the people they work with, because they're going to have careers throughout their lives, and they're going to be talking about this for a long time. And it depends on who wins, right? The victor is the one who gets to claim righteousness, and they'll get to write the history books. So, I cannot see with a Democrat victory and a Democrat takeover of our nation a good end, right? No matter what, if they take control, and let's just say Hillary gets reelected gets elected in 2020, that our nation would be destroyed the same way it would if she had won in 2016. If Trump wins, if the deep state is exposed and arrested, then we have a chance to once again be free. So the only chance we have is to go through Trump, and that's it. Short of Jesus flying back in on a cloud and going, what the heck? I gave you guys a couple of years break, and I come back, and this is what you're doing. It'd be kind of upset, kind of like Charlton Heston. But short of that, some kind of supernatural miracle, we're going to have to go this way of the Trump and just hope and pray that he is a nationalist, and he wants America to be great, and he wants the world to be a good place, not just for America, but for everybody. Ultimately, we're all on this fruited plane together, and we need to get rid of as many of the bad fruits as we can, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Man, it's a scary thought if you think about it. I think Trump and his presidency could very well, be the defining change whether this country succeeds or fails. If Trump is who we hope he is, if it's possible, then we have a chance. If not, if he's part of this whole scam, I mean, we have nuclear missiles. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I got an AR-15. He's got a Sherman tank. Come on. This, in my opinion, is kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. Either we succeed or not. I think it all depends on this administration, because if it goes down, if Trump doesn't get reelected in 2020 and it is someone like Hillary, oh, God help us. I think it's game over. There's no way the system can sustain itself.
Right. Now, from where we stand right now, there is, as long as they're supported, the Supreme Court is as right wing as it's ever been in my lifetime. Right wing meaning freedom.
Yeah.
Even though there are fascist components to our system, it's as close to that as we've ever gotten. Having Trump in there as a strong nationalist is as good as it's going to be. And we have currently a conservative or freedom-leaning House of Representatives and Senate. So if they hold that in this election, right, Trump is president, and we've got a constitutional Supreme Court, we've got as good a chance as any at going into this economic disaster that's looming literally inches in front of our faces. Most of the country doesn't see it. I do. We're going to be in for some fucking tough economic times, because you can't do what they've done economically and expect not to have to pay the fiddler eventually, and to have at least the most intelligent among the politicians in charge, because I do believe the Democrats are just absolutely academically retarded when it comes to how the world actually has to work. We've got the best chance possible. I would be absolutely fearful if Hillary was president and we went into this election and it was going to be all Democrats, and then we had a socialist Supreme Court. I would just be shitting my pants. I would know that the end was coming. There's no fucking hope if the shoe was on the other foot. And taking that into account, I understand the fear of the Democrats. These socialists, they're absolutely terrified because they're losing control, and they could lose control forever, right?
Yeah.
For a generation, we should say. I should never say forever, but a generation.
The stacking of the deck in the Supreme Court is genius. What Trump does, everybody, all the people on the left, I can't believe he's only putting in people that will support him. Well, of course, every president has done that. And if Ginsburg finally kicks the bucket and we get a third person in there appointed by Trump, that is a huge game changer right there, because that is the end all be all, the law of the land. That's the final say in things. So you're right. It's huge. The whole Supreme Court thing is monumental. It's a defining moment in this country's future, for sure. No doubt about that.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Have you listened to her talk? She's a dotard at this point.
Yeah. Did you see that video of her having to look at the little Constitution?
The Constitution. Yeah.
I mean, that tells a story right there.
That's, if you were to ask me about any particular code or section of the Constitution, you could expect that I might know something about it and I might not, but that's not my job. Right? That's not my profession. That's not my career, living inside those documents. And so the average person can be expected to go, yeah, you can't know everything all the time, but that is a Supreme Court justice. She should be able to quote verb and verse of everything in there. And so, yeah, but she's definitely a daughter. She's like one slip on a stair from breaking a hip or having a stroke. She's cooked, and they're going to try and prop her up as much they can. She should be impeached, in my opinion, if she can't pass a competency exam.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't know what you're doing, that is not the job you should have. That's one of the most important jobs ever in this country, and you should be totally competent to be able to do it.
Yeah. There needs to be a competency exam, and if you're not competent, you're not capable, you shouldn't have that seat. And so, yeah, it looks like Trump very well may appoint 3 Supreme Court justices in his first term alone.
That's insane. That is awesome.
And it's very scary for the Democrats. I could see why they would react violently, because they have no other option. They can't vote themselves to victory. They can't convince me and you and the American voters that socialism's a great idea. They've done all the indoctrination they can. They use the fucking media. They use the news. They do everything they can to brainwash people, and they're still losing. It's because they're morally and intellectually bankrupt. And I'm on my soapbox now. These fucking clowns, right? That they're bankrupt. They are left with nothing at this point, Vaughn, as far as I'm concerned, with a radical military violent takeover. And that's it. That's what they're left with. And that's what we as preppers are really looking at them as, a potential violent coup.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're right to the point, just like being a rabid dog being pushed into a corner. The only thing they can do is bite their way out. I think that's where they're at right now.
And that's why we're seeing violent actions, violent reactions, calls for violence. Long gone are the days of Martin Luther King and the calls for civil disobedience and for going and voting. They've tried all that and they have failed.
Yeah, it just goes to show, communism and socialism does not work. They can't learn from other countries. They tried to push it here. It's still not working. I mean, come on. What more can you do?
What we have left is Red October, brother, right? A violent attempt, a violent coup. I think globalism has been exposed as being a fraudulent and foolhardy attempt, and it's only enriching international corporations and international banking cartels. It does not benefit the people, and they've destroyed our system. So we're going to pay for that.
Yeah.
Even if Trump wins, and even if the Republicans continue to win, we're going to pay economically, and we're going to be suffering for years and years. So being a prepper, this is where I kind of go with this, is it's not just for one big event. We may end up having periods of shit hitting the fan where, right, things just go down, right? Food shortages, gas shortages, power outages. You're going to need to be prepared for small scale events on a continual basis. And that's one of the things that I try and push, is this isn't about a one-time event. It's not about the end of the world. It could very well be just getting from one month to the next sometimes.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And I honestly think I think, we call it the reset, the kind of starting over of all things that we're used to. And right. I honestly believe, preppers or people that have a mindset like a prepper, they will fare, not that they will succeed, but they will definitely fare better than those who are not. That's why I do what I do. I mean, it's common sense. And again, I'm a numbers guy. Numbers will dictate. People that are prepared will have a higher possibility of surviving than those who are not. I think it's so important because that's honestly, at the end of the day, the only true thing we can do is kind of prepare ourselves, take care of ourselves, and do the best we can to make sure that what we care about, that we value, are protected.
Right. There's going to be pain. Trump has said it. Pain is coming, right? I would rather be more comfortable than less comfortable. And so I see prepping as a way to help guarantee or at least make it easier for me, right? If I've got food covered, man, if there's a food shortage, I'm not going to starve. I don't got to panic, in other words. I don't have to panic about if the electricity goes out because I've got some solar, I've got some generator. I don't have to panic over shit. But there's going to be a lot of people out there very uncomfortable, very scared, very panicky, you know.
Yeah,
And it was interesting.
Oh, go ahead.
This week, Trump has been proposed that there's going to be a 5% reduction in federal spending. I don't know how serious he is about that. He's talking about a 5% either reduction or pay cut for everyone except the military. You know, and they don't get paid shit. I got paid nothing, right? But it's still that way. They're still like the working poor trying to serve the country, which is admirable, and they don't need a pay cut. But I could see a serious reduction in bureaucracy and the pay they get. That's hurt. That's pain. And for people who don't have any disposable income already, you take away 5% of their pay, it's going to be even tighter. It's going to get downright uncomfortable for a lot of people, Vaughn.
That's huge. And at the end of the day, that is the biggest motivating factor for most Americans is at the end of the day, can I keep the lights on? Can I keep food in the fridge? I mean, the ranch that I had out east, it was, I can't tell you how gratifying and how safe it made me feel knowing that I had, you know, inexhaustible food sources that continue to grow and reproduce. It was a good feeling. Now that I'm here in the city, man, it's tough. That's why I try to get out to Arizona as much as possible and, you know, start building the infrastructure out there. I know the importance. I've got 5 kids, man. I can't risk not having food. And that's one of my biggest fears is seeing my kids sick or hungry or hurt. I just couldn't do it. And that's why, you know, I'm with, who said it? What was it? Canadian Prepper maybe said it. I forgot who it was. It was probably me. I would rather this shit come down right now that I'm still young enough, strong enough to fight than have my kids have to deal with it or my grandkids. I say bring it on. I say bring it on now because it's going to happen, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's now here, Vaughn. I've been saying that for, you know, since I was a jarhead. I wanted to get it over with and fix the problems. But it looks like they've kicked the can down the road as far as they can, and they're going to kick the can right off the cliff. And that's where I think we're at. Right. I always, year after year, I'm like, oh, the economy, oh, war, our infrastructure. Now it's everything, and it's all piled up, and it's right on the edge. Very scary times. My confidence, though, and my faith is what keeps me going. Confidence in self, my faith in my ability and other people's ability to protect themselves and do what they can to get through what we're going to be facing. It's going to be shit. It's the fan light at the very best.
Yeah.
At the very best. So I think we're going to call it a day. We've got quite a bit of material. I think we've shared a lot of great opinions with our respective audiences, which are probably the same people.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you, Vaughn. We already thanked Kaz. And
Thanks for inviting me. That's awesome.
I watch you, and I watch Kaz, and I watch a number of other things every day, especially when I have some free time. It's nice. Have fun storming the castle.